Okay, someone uses grammar checker. Was my last question clear? Basically, I want to hear like what tools that are AI tools people are using. Is
Yes,
it your
absolutely clear.
okay?
And we see a lot of responses, right? Grammar checker, taking notes on webinars, so many amazing things that everyone is already doing. So I hope I
Mainly
can add it to that
ChatGPT,
list.
Gamma for PowerPoints, Gemini AI. Okay, very interesting. I'll be very curious to see your list. I'm sure it's very extensive. I'm seeing the techies among us. Claude, Perplexity, Gemini, Otter AI, Copilot, Gamma, ChatGPT, Grammarly. So some of these are existing platforms that have AI embedded in them. All right, very good, very good. I think I'm going to stop it here and pass it on to you. We've started seeing some questions and we've seen where people are in terms of how they use AI and some questions they have, the positives of AI in their lives. I think I'll pass it on to you so that you guide us through our training. Once again, everyone, thank you so much for being here. I'm very excited and looking forward to this. Over to you.
All right, wonderful. Thank you so much, Anise and Vanessa, for setting this whole session up. I'm really excited. We have over 100 participants, and let's get started because I have so much to talk about and so many things to discuss. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off by doing this screen share. So I'm going to share my screen over here. And what we're going to do, dive into this particular presentation we've put together, which is unlocking the future of artificial intelligence and how you can do this with, let's say, Alibaba Cloud. Right over here. So we're going to dive into some fundamentals of AI, and then I'm going to show you some really interesting applications of artificial intelligence that are available through Alibaba Cloud, which you can set up within a few minutes, right, for your businesses. So let's take a look at how that's possible and how you can do that. But before we do any of that, we're going to dive into unlocking the future of artificial intelligence. And to start off with, once again, everyone, my name is Amey Berje. You should be able to see my name on this screen right now, which I'm sharing. My first name is very short, Amey. Sometimes it's a little difficult for pronunciation. A lot of people end up calling me Amy, which is not the correct pronunciation. So you have the month of May, you put an A in front of it, just like a table, a cat, a May, or you have the word amazing. Take off the zing, what remains is my name. So I work at Alibaba Cloud, and I started working at Alibaba Cloud about 6 months ago, to be honest, just like a few months now, before which I was working at AWS. I was in Canada. I just moved to Dubai. I have over 15 plus years of experience in virtualization and cloud computing. So what I'm going to speak to you right now throughout this presentation is all of my experience, not just at Alibaba Cloud, but like working at other cloud providers as well as in the virtualization industry. So that's what you'll be hearing the next 45 minutes or so. All right. So let's dive into and see what we're going to talk about. Right. So I'm going to change the slides and hopefully they are changing for all of you. Okay. And another thing that I want to mention here, if you want to get the maximum out of the session today, keep that chat function open and respond to my questions. Ask me questions. Let's make this very engaging so that the next 45 minutes will fly by for you. All right. So that's the whole idea and goal over here. So what we're going to talk about is who we are, like who is Alibaba Cloud. We're going to dive into one common question that I receive very often is, why should someone use Alibaba Cloud? And then we'll dive into fundamentals of AI and also one of our service called as Model Studio. All right. So here's a simple question for all of you, right? How many of you before today or before you got the sign up email from the organizers, you heard about Alibaba Cloud? Let's see any votes over here. Did you hear about Alibaba Cloud or no? Alibaba Cloud, not the Alibaba group that you might have heard of. Let's see. So you have no, yes is coming through. I heard some of you saying no from the competition submission. Not yet, no, never, absolutely, right? No, yes. Okay. So along with all those yeses, I also see a lot of no's there, right? So you might have heard of Alibaba the group, but never Alibaba Cloud. right? So let me just give you a brief story of who we are, and then we'll talk about, all of the AI fundamentals that we have. So Alibaba as a group started way back, right? We're talking about in the 90s is when we started as a business as well. So when you take a look at Alibaba as a group, if you take a look at the different business units that we have today, we are not just a retail organization like AliExpress, but there are so many other business units that we have. And as Alibaba started growing, we realized that the technology available for us, databases, compute, couldn't really meet our requirement. So what we decided is we'll design our own technology. And that's what gave birth to Alibaba Cloud, which is what you're seeing right now. So Alibaba Cloud was established in the year 2009. And since then, it is able to support so many different business units of Alibaba, whether it's finance, whether it's retail, e-commerce, all of these different business units that we have. Now, remember this statement because later I'll highlight why and what sets Alibaba Cloud apart as well. But just to give you a little insight today over here, if you take a look at Gartner's Magic Quadrant or IDC reports, now these are organizations that evaluate all of the cloud providers. You will always find the cloud providers like AWS, maybe Azure, GCP, and Alibaba Cloud as well in those quadrants as a leader or a visionary. So we are the first infrastructure as a service provider in Asia Pacific. We have that ranking still maintained. The third infrastructure as a service provider globally. And if you take a look at that 17 number there for regions, we have a total of 29 regions, 17 regions being outside of mainland China. So we have 17 global regions today, and you can find out where they are, and I'll share with you how you can get those details. And we have over 200 plus services today. So if you take a look at all of these different aspects of a cloud provider, if you look at AWS or Microsoft Azure or Google, you will see that Alibaba Cloud today has comparable services compared to all of those other cloud providers. So this is where our regions are. All right, take a look at this. So we have a global presence today. That means that we have a total of 29 regions and 87 availability zones. Now, if you don't know what this whole idea about regions and AZs is, it's nothing but these data centers that we have that are spread all around the world, in which customers' applications, workloads, AI, machine learning, all of those things run. So we have this global presence that you see all around the world, just like any other cloud provider has. And remember, I was mentioning that today we are a cloud provider with a lot of industry researchers have provided us these different rankings. You can see some of these numbers and details over here. Also, if you have customers that are really looking to expand in Southeast Asia, that's where, again, Alibaba Cloud has expertise and experience matching no other cloud provider. So that's where Alibaba Cloud is from an infrastructure as a service perspective provider, right? So when you take a look at this global presence today, we can see all of different regions and zones that we have. All right. If you take a look at the African continent, because we just got a question in the chat as well. Yes, we don't have a region in Africa right now, but we work with a lot of providers and partners. In South Africa, just to give you an example, we work with BCX. We have African Local Public Cloud there, which actually is something that runs Alibaba Cloud technologies. So we do have cloud providers within Africa that run our technology, but we don't have a region right now within Africa. But you never know, things might change in the future. So just because that's a question that I got in the chat there. All right. So let's answer one very simple, basic question. All right. Why Alibaba Cloud? Why should anyone choose Alibaba? Right? There are so many other cloud providers like AWS, Microsoft Azure, Google Cloud. What really sets Alibaba Cloud apart? And that's one important question that I get from everyone that I speak with that has used other cloud providers. And that's something that you might be having as a question in your mind as well, which I want to know, what really sets Alibaba Cloud apart? Right? So let's take a look at that. And to help answer this question, I'm going to give you an example. right? In fact, let's take an example of Africa's Business Heroes semifinal event as well, which I was part of. So I was speaking with an entrepreneur who was part of the H group, and they had a logistics business. What logistics business and what did they do? Well, they were into a business wherein they would do last mile delivery. So they would source products from China and they would get in those products. And because of the relational requirements of those issues, their business was that they would be able to get those products and do last mile delivery in Africa. So they had to create an entire solution to help them with logistics. So I was speaking with this business owner. So they were using a specific cloud provider, which I won't name, but they were using a cloud provider. And what they did is now they built a solution on top of the cloud provider to drive this logistic. But now remember, using a cloud provider is great, but now if you're building any solution and software on top of that, it takes times. It takes maybe a couple of months or even more to set up that software, set up that solution. Today, Alibaba Cloud has pre-packaged solutions that our customers can use. So, for example, Alibaba Cloud today has packaged solutions like eKYC and anti-money laundering, building super apps, or even our logistics business we have has perfected and built solutions that do these last mile delivery and do it at scale. So imagine these businesses, they spend a lot of time and a lot of resources building solutions after they start using a cloud provider. But what's different with Alibaba Cloud is we already have these packaged solutions, over 800 of those, that a customer can use and immediately implement for their business, right? And that is what is a differentiator. That is what sets Alibaba Cloud apart. So if you ask me in simple question, the way I see it externally is a business owner or an entrepreneur, which is you, need to ask yourself this question. What is my cloud provider doing for me? What are they providing for me? Because if you ask a cloud provider, or if you take a look at why someone uses cloud provider, there are a few reasons why they do that, right? And I want to briefly talk about this before we dive into artificial intelligence and all of those discussions. So what I'm going to do over here is in a total typical classroom style engagement, what we're going to do is actually do a little bit of whiteboarding, and we'll continue to do this whiteboarding for us to understand some other concepts as well. So I'll stop sharing this current screen right now, and let me quickly go ahead and share my window over here. So there you go. And you should be able to see my screen coming up, all right? All right, so you all should be able to see my window come up, and I have a small whiteboard for all of you over here. Okay, so let's take a look at this. So if you think about why does someone use a cloud provider? Why does business use a cloud provider? Can you think of one reason? And let me just jot down those reasons real quick. Why does someone use a cloud provider? What's the reason? What's the number one thing that comes to your mind? Why is a business using a cloud provider? Can you think of one reason that comes to your mind? All right. So number one, the first thing that I get over here is something to do with cost. All right. Yes. No buying hardware, cost savings is something that you get, right? What else? All right, you can store information. Okay, I get something else as well. I get this word, which is reliability. All right, so I can define this as high availability, disaster recovery, or HA and DR. Right, but to put it simple, let's say reliability. What else do you get? Okay, scalability. I'll add that as well. Scalability. Right. What else do you think you get? All right, convenience, efficiency, high availability, security, an important aspect over here. So let me add that over here, security, right? Okay, wonderful. Guaranteed uptime, availability. Okay, all of these things is why you use a cloud provider. You all are absolutely correct. This is why you use a cloud provider. But you know what are some of the most important things on why you need a cloud provider?
And I actually got one of those responses there. Let me add that because I feel this is one of the most important one, innovation. All right, innovation. I feel this is very, very important. Okay. I'll give you a simple reason why this is so important for me. If you take a look at Fortune 500 companies from 10 years ago, do you know that more than 50% of those don't exist today? Why do you think they don't exist today? Fortune 500 companies from a decade ago. And the reason is, guess what? This one here, right? Innovation. They weren't able to keep up with the changing world. Newer companies came in and they disrupted the market. They couldn't keep up with the changing world and technology. An example for that is generative AI. You heard about generative AI maybe about a year or a little over a year ago, right? This wasn't there as a buzzword in the industry. Suddenly, generative AI came up, and everyone's doing generative AI all the time, and they're looking at solutions on how to implement generative AI, correct? So when you take a look at why someone needs to use a cloud provider is this, because I'll give you an example. How many customers you think have a data center of their own that they pay and manage, and how quickly do you think they can do artificial intelligence and machine learning with their existing data center? And the answer would be very, very difficult. They need to have hardware, that is GPUs, but at the same time, they need to have things like data scientists to be able to really delve into AI and machine learning use cases. But guess what happens with a cloud provider? With a cloud provider, these newer technologies are available for you within a few clicks, whether it's Alibaba or any cloud provider. You have these technologies available. And that's why one of the most important aspect of why you should use a cloud provider is because you should be able to keep up with this changing world. Take your ideas and experiment quickly. Remember that. Ideas and experimentation is the key. If you can't take your ideas and experiment quickly, how will you know if those ideas are good or not? Right? So cloud helps you with what? If you ask me, cloud helps you take your ideas and experiment quickly. The time that is needed for experimentation is reduced. Because with cloud, you can experiment, click, click, deploy. If it doesn't work for you, close it and stop paying for the resources. So it's very, very cost effective. So remember that important aspect. So innovation is a very, very important. So now coming back to the point, Amay, other cloud providers like AWS and Azure and Google Cloud, they all have this. And you all are absolutely correct. Yes, they have reliability. Yes, they have scalability. Yes, they have security. Yes, even they have innovation options, right? But remember that important point, what I said. You need to ask your cloud provider is, can you provide that security, availability, that scalability? Can you provide that innovation? And can you do it at the least possible cost? Because I saw a lot of cost related questions over there around AI as well. So let me just tell you this, okay? Because I was working at AWS before this, and this is industry-wide knowledge, everyone. Alibaba Cloud is 20 to 30% in cases more cost effective than any other cloud provider. No one can beat Alibaba Cloud prices, and everyone knows that. And you know what I thought when I was working at AWS? Yes, that's true, because it's a Chinese cloud provider. It's a Chinese company. They are cheaper. That's what my understanding was. And I was so wrong, because their cost is lower, not because it's a Chinese cloud provider. But later, when I joined Alibaba Cloud, I realized that the technology and the maturity of technology they have helps reduce that cost further. And there are many examples how we have designed our own data warehousing solutions, how we have our own hypervisor technology, how we have built our own machine learning models and large language models, which we'll briefly take a look at today as well and get an insight into. So this, if you see, is an important factor for customers, right? Cost. But even leaving the cost aside, because hands down, no one can beat Alibaba Cloud prices. I'll leave the cost aside. But remember that example of that entrepreneur that I gave? Remember how I said that that entrepreneur in Africa, they had a logistics company and they spent maybe couple of months or even more building a solution that does that last mile delivery, guess what Alibaba Cloud helps you? Alibaba Cloud helps you with go-to-market. What this means is that we have pre-packaged solutions over 800 plus that can help take that solution and put it as is and reduce that time to go to market, time to experiment. And that is why Alibaba Cloud stands apart. It's from a cost perspective and the solutions that we have to drive businesses and use our solutions at scale. So something that I briefly wanted to highlight over here on why Alibaba Cloud, right? And I could go on and on and on about this, but that's not the agenda for today. So what I'm going to do over here is stop sharing my screen over here, all right? And go back to my presentation real quick, because that's what the discussion was, right? So I mentioned over here, we have different solutions today. And today, these solutions come with a lot of experience based on different business units that we have. And we have a lot of partners and joint solutions today that help us deploy these solutions for customers, our partners, the solutions. That's what keeps Alibaba Cloud stand apart. No other cloud provider has packaged solutions. That's another bottom line that I wanted to share. And we even have built solutions that span across the artificial intelligence domain. And you can find some of these solutions on your screen right now, whether it's distance learning AI solution or intelligent warehouse solution, and so on and so forth. So a lot more. So now, when we look at artificial intelligence, right, because we are talking about industry applications of AI, what we need to understand over here are some key important terms around artificial intelligence, around machine learning, before we dive into some of the services that we have, right? So when it comes to AI and machine learning, there might be a lot of terms that you have heard about artificial intelligence and machine learning. Let's first make sure we understand what these terms are before we dive into the details of how today large language models work, because today's session is going to focus a little on artificial intelligence and AI fundamentals, right? And then we'll take a look at how you can see this in action. So let's take a look at this. So what is artificial intelligence and machine learning? So let's dive into this and understand the differences over here. Because today you have this term called as artificial intelligence, then machine learning, then there is deep learning, and then there is generative AI now. So what is this all about? What are these different terms? So let's get into this. So what do you mean by AI or artificial intelligence? Get started. So artificial intelligence is nothing but, think of it as a field of study, right? Just like how you have physics. And within physics, there are different aspects of physics. Just like that, you have artificial intelligence, which is a field of study. And the reason why this whole artificial intelligence word came into existence is because some people started thinking, now that we are building computer systems, can we build computer systems to mimic a human brain, so that this computer can do things that a human can do? So act and think like humans, reason and act autonomously. So that is what this whole artificial intelligence aspect or this whole field of study of AI comes into the picture, right? So artificial intelligence. Now, apart from artificial intelligence, you might have heard of ML or machine learning as well. Now, what is that machine learning? So if you take a look at artificial intelligence as an umbrella, machine learning is a subset of artificial intelligence. So it's a subset of AI. And what is machine learning all about? Well, machine learning is all about, can we predict something based on a lot of historical data? So based on a lot of data that we have, can we make predictions? Can we train a machine in such a way that looking at a lot of data, can it make predictions? And that is what machine learning is all about. You're training a model training a system based on a lot of existing data, and now you're asking this machine to make predictions. Predictions like what? Predictions like, what is the percentage that it's going to rain tomorrow, right? Or things like, is it going to rain tomorrow? Yes or no? Based on so much of data that I have of patients, based on all of that data, can you tell me if this new patient, what is likelihood that this new patient is going to get diabetes? So what we're trying to do over here, and you saw different examples, is you're trying to predict something. Predicting whether it's going to be rainfall, what's going to be the weather tomorrow, or whether someone's going to get diabetes or not. Taking a look at a lot of images and scanned data, you are looking at someone's x-rays of their lungs, and now you're trying to predict and understand if they already have that COVID infection or not. And different examples like that. That's where machine learning today shines. That's where in different industries today, you have machine learning applications that are doing all of this today, even in businesses. Remember today, banks, when you call them also, they have this option of voice recognition, and they can recognize your voice and authenticate you. Right? So there are different aspects of machine learning today that businesses already have been using before this whole term of generative AI. But besides artificial intelligence and machine learning, there is also this concept of deep learning. And deep learning is nothing but it's a mechanism of solving even more complex problems using neural networks. So for example, if you tell me and if you show me a picture of a cat, I can easily understand that this is an image of a cat. But for a computer, they don't have those visual technology that we do, like the eyes that we have. So if you take a look at a cat's picture and you show it to a computer, your computer cannot recognize that cat. So how do you train a computer to recognize a cat and distinguish it from a cat and a dog? And that's where deep learning comes into the picture. Right. So you have artificial intelligence, you have machine learning, and you have deep learning. So if you take a look at AI, AI is nothing that's new. It's been there into existence since about 1950s or so. Right. So machine learning is a subset of artificial intelligence, and deep learning is a subset of machine learning. Which brings me to this very important topic for today, which is generative AI. Generative AI is also doing complex things. If you take a look at ChatGPT today, when you ask a question to ChatGPT, you get responses. You upload an image, it decodes what that image is. So it does multiple things, and that is complex. So generative AI is actually a subset of deep learning. So if we talk and focus about generative AI today and Gen AI, right? What is generative AI made up of? If you take a look at generative artificial intelligence today, it comes from something called as foundation models, right? And foundation models are these large models that have been trained on massive amounts of data. And we'll talk about that briefly over here. So when you talk about foundation models today and generative AI, how generative AI like ChatGPT, for example, which you're very familiar with, is running because of something called as large language models, all right, or LLMs. I'll refer to this as LLMs going forward, or large language models going forward. Okay. Now, when you talk about this large language model, what really do you mean by large? What do you mean by large? Let's understand that. And I'll give you an example just so that you understand the scale of large language model. If I tell you that I will give you a job every day wherein you will be paid, and your job is to look at and read all of the web pages on the internet. We have close to about 6 billion web pages today on the internet. If I give you a job that is Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., all you have to do is just read all of the web pages, right, on the internet. If you have to do that Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., do you know how long it would take for you to read all of those web pages? We're talking about close to 250,000 human years. If you take an average of, let's say, 1 minute per page as well, 250,000 human years. Large language models can do that in a matter of a few months. So when we talk about these large language models, how large are they? Is that they can read so much of data within a few months, and they're trained on massive amounts of data. So when we talk about large, what really are we talking about? Massive amounts of data. So 1 GB of text file has about 178 million words. Take a look at this. 1 GB text file has 178 million words. GPT-4 is trained on 1 PB of data, right? Approximately 1 PB of data. So that is what is this large when you talk about the large language model. Now, remember one thing, a computer doesn't understand words. It doesn't understand table. It doesn't understand cat, dog. It doesn't know what these words mean. So how will you teach this computer to learn about specific words is by using something called as parameters. So parameters help your machines learn a meaning for these different words. And these different large language models, they are trained on billions of parameters and massive amounts of data. So when we talk about massive amounts of data, how much data are we talking about? Well, when we talk about massive amounts of data, we're talking about not just the internet, which is the websites that I've been talking about, but also books and articles. Because of which now, when you open up your favorite tool for large language models today, and you ask a question, you get human-like responses because it learns from all of this data. It learns how language is and how to respond using human-like languages and respond to someone asking questions, right? So when you take a look at these large language models, now you understand the scale of large language models, right? Now, with Alibaba Cloud today, we have our own large language model series, all right? We call it Cuban. I'm going to highlight some applications that you can design using large language models, and you can do it very simply within a few clicks. You'll be able to do it, right? So how do you design and use these large language models? How can you set it up? I'm going to take you through a small demonstration and show you that, all right? It's going to be very simple to understand. So what we're going to do is use a whiteboard, understand large language models, and then understand how can a business use this for their applications and how it can do it quickly and easily and the lowest cost possible. Remember the themes, right? Remember what we discussed why cloud is, can you innovate at the lowest cost and go to market quickly? And we're going to see how using large language models and using our own large language models series that we have, okay? So before I dive into the issues of large language model, let's do a small demonstration over here and I'll provide you an insight, okay? So in my example, what do you see? I'm gonna stop my screen share here. And I am going to share my screen, okay? I recently saw in the chat that I was going a little too fast. Since I got that feedback, I have slowed down. So I hope I'm not too fast anymore. But again, if I'm talking too fast, you want me to repeat something, I'm happy to do so while I share my screen here. So don't hesitate and let us know in the chat, all right? I want to make sure that everyone can understand what's happening over here. Okay, so let's dive into a small example, all right? Now, I don't want you to focus so much on the cloud provider, but try and focus over here what we're trying to achieve, okay? That's what we're trying to do here. So imagine you are a business, okay? And you are a business here. Let me just let me say your name of your company is ABC, all right? You're a business. And what you want to do is, because now you want to use this newer generative AI technology that is there, you have this new Gen AI technology, you want to use this Gen AI technology into your business. So what you do is you decide to use a cloud provider, all right? So I'm drawing a beautiful looking cloud for all of you. So whenever I draw this, everything inside this is running in the cloud, all right? So that is what this is. So you have a cloud provider. So now ABC decides to use a cloud provider like Alibaba Cloud. And what they can do is they can now set up their website in the cloud over here very simply. And now if they have a website over here, what you can do with this website is you can use Gen AI. Now, how do you use Gen AI? Well, very simple is you can easily create things like AI chatbots, the very simplest example of how you can innovate. As a business, your customers can look at this chatbot, ask questions, get responses quickly. So it's not standard responses, we will reach out to you, or certain set of programmed responses, but human-like responses. So this really helps your customers really interact with your business, right? So easily you can draw an AI chatbot. So imagine over here, you have a website and you want to integrate this website with an AI chatbot. So in Alibaba Cloud, since we're talking about Alibaba Cloud here, we have a service called as Model Studio. And inside Model Studio, we have our own large language models. They are already pre-trained large language models available for you. The large language model series that we have is called Q1 series. So when a customer comes to your website and sees your website and sees the chatbot and opens the chatbot and asks a question, now you can integrate your website with these large language models. So when your customer asks the question, this large language model will use its capabilities to create a response and send it back to your website, which will be something that your customer will see, right? So how do you go ahead and design something like this? Very simple, right? So let's first dive into this aspect, which is Model Studio. What does it look like and how do you create it? How do you set it up? I'll just give you a small demonstration for that, all right? So let me just share my console window now. So I'm going to stop sharing this one briefly here. All right. And what I'll do is I'll navigate to my console and I'll start sharing my screen. And all of you should be able to see my screen once again. And what I'm going to do for all of you is just show you this console. Now, we don't need to dive into any technicalities or details over here at this point. Maybe in the future, if we have more sessions, we can dive into specifics, all right? But imagine now, this is the website I have in the cloud running, okay? And this is the IP address of my website. So I'll just open up this website, a simple designed website. It could represent any business. So what you want to do with this AI chatbot is now if someone comes in and types in things like hello, then you need to get a response from this chatbot. So your customer should be able to see this. But remember, this AI is not happening on the website. It's happening somewhere in the cloud because we have Model Studio that's doing it for us. So let me just quickly open up Model Studio over here and show you an example. All right, so I'll open up Model Studio, Alibaba Cloud Model Studio, which is one of our service over here for artificial intelligence. And I'll just hit use now to show you the console. So very simple. I have the website in which I have a chatbot, how that chatbot is talking to this Model Studio. So if you take a look at this, this is our Alibaba Cloud Model Studio. So just like you can use ChatGPT and directly talk to ChatGPT, you can do things over here with our Model Studio. We have a playground wherein you can do this. So I'll give you an example here. So this is our own large language model, Q1 Max, Q1 Turbo, Q1 Plus. Our large language models are also open source. So you can find them on Hugging Face, for example. So they're also open source. So when someone asks a question, let's say hello over here, and if I have Q1, let's say plus, then it's as simple as you getting this response. So the way now this Model Studio is responding to your manual questions over here, similarly, over here, now the website with your AI chatbot is responding, right? So this is very simple. But now the challenge over here is, if you take a look at this company, right? If I ask questions like, who are you? All right. Now the response that's coming over here is very, very generic. I'm a simple AI language model to design or design to answer question. As a business, you don't want this. You want it to be custom for your business. So where I'm coming to is the issues with plain, simple, vanilla large language models. So if you take a look at the current issues with LLMs, and this is applicable to anyone, is these are trained on websites, books, and articles, these models. So they are great when it comes to generic responses. So for individuals, if I have to write an email or let's say draft a letter or write a book or do any things that make me productive, well, it is great, right? It is fantastic. Whether you use ChatGPT or you use this QN, it's fantastic because they have these NLU capabilities and so on and so forth. But if you take a look at a business or an entrepreneur or your business right now, it doesn't have any specific information about your business to make it specific to work for your business and for you, right? Because over here right now, these large language models, they don't understand your enterprise right now. They don't know anything about your business. So the plain large language models won't help you because they will give you responses that are very generic, because you ask a question, you'll get general answers. But if someone who has questions, your specific product X has feature Z, does it have feature Z or not? These large language models with generic information cannot answer those questions because they don't know your enterprise. So those general answers are not going to work for you. So if your customer has a question, I bought product X and I'm trying to configure this, where can I find that option? This generic LLM is not going to have the answer for you. So if you as a business now want to customize these large language models, what can you do? Well, what you can do is something called as retrieval augmented generation by providing specific information to these large language models, which makes it actionable. Now, if you didn't understand the last few seconds, that's okay, because I want to show you what that means over here. Because what I'm talking about is retrieval augmented generation. In short, what this means is RAG. And to put it in very simple words for you, what does it mean? What does this whole RAG mean? So what I'm talking about here is not vanilla LLM, because these large language models, they don't know anything about your business. So what do you do as a business? As an entrepreneur, what do you do? So what you can easily do is you have our large language models, right? So you teach this large language model or you provide information or context about your business. This is called as the RAG system, wherein you teach this large language model on the fly information about your business. Maybe it is your products, the catalog, or any information or repository of information about your business. You can provide that as context, such that now when their customers are going to ask questions, you can tell this large language model, you know what, look up the answers over here and then use your magic of linguistic capabilities or LLM to provide this to the customer. So what we're designing over here is a RAG system, or retrieval augmented generation. And here's the differentiator, everyone. With Alibaba Cloud, within a few clicks, you can set this up and test it out in no time on your websites. Easily do it. And how can you do it is something that I'll show over here. All right, how to do it. It's going to be a small demonstration, and I'm going to again keep it very simple, but we'll understand what this RAG, or retrieval augmented generation system, is through Alibaba Cloud Model Studio. All right. So going back to my example here, I'm going to make this example a little more specific so that we understand the use case over here. Okay. So let me stop sharing and jump back to my web-based whiteboard, and then we'll dive into this. So just a moment, share my screen.
And you should be able to see it coming up real soon. Okay. So now that you have this screen over here, I'm going to take a very specific example, all right? And in my example, what are we talking about is, let's say a company, all right? Let's say this is LearnX, okay? This is the name of the organization. And LearnX is a new startup, right? It's a new entrepreneur that's launching this new startup. And this new startup helps universities and professionals from an education perspective and all of that. So they provide you smart solutions for education and so on and so forth, all right? So now LearnX, let's say, has a website. And now what they want to do is on their website, they want to integrate an AI chatbot, all right? So when their customers come into this particular website, it answers the questions which are specific to the business, all right? Specific to LearnX. Now remember, the large language model will give generic answers. So what you can do is provide context or provide data about your business, about LearnX to large language models, so that when the responses go back to your customer, they are customized responses about LearnX instead, rather than generic. Now imagine you are this entrepreneur, and if you want to set this up, you can easily do this within a few clicks. That is this retrieval augmented generation, which is your RAG capability in Model Studio. So how can you do this, or how does this work? I'll just give you a very simple, small demonstration on how you can set up this RAG within a few clicks and how you can get your chatbot up and running. All right. So let me share my screen once again here. So just a moment. So I'm back onto my screen here. And what I'll do is I'll now go back to my console here. All right. So this is the Alibaba Cloud Model Studio. And what I have to do over here is imagine now if you are LearnX, you will upload some data about your business over here in data management section, all right? So for example, if you are LearnX, you will upload certain data, whether it is structured or unstructured, both are supported. So if you want to create tables and add data, or if you might have PDFs or some documents, you can go ahead and add them over here. For example, let me see if there's anything specific to LearnX over here right now. And let me hit enter. All right. So as you can see over here, there's a lot of documents that my team has added and created this, this data management over here. But let me just show you. Take a look at this. All right. What I did is I already updated a business plan for LearnX. All right. I've done this. I've added a business plan. So to keep this example simple, I've just provided a document about the business plan for LearnX. Let me show you what is there in this document, just so you have the context. All right. So business plan for LearnX. So this is what is there in the document that I've added. I'm teaching my large language model about who the organization is, the mission and vision. It has an executive summary. It has a company overview, market segmentation, product and services. So this is basically a document, and you can add your own documents and your own data as a business over here into this particular data management section. So all you have to do is add data into this data management section and build a knowledge index. And that is what you have to do. And now for this knowledge index to work with your LLM, what you do is you create a small container called as an application. Now over here, I've created an application for LearnX. So let me just actually open that up and highlight over here. So opening this up, and I'll highlight this application. So I've created an application over here, and it's within a few clicks that you can set it up. And I can choose which large language model is going to respond to my customer's question. For me, I'm selecting Q1 Plus here. And what I've done is, if you see, this is the option.
I have enabled this knowledge retrieval augmentation and just selected this business plan for LearnX. That's all, as simple as that. I've just enabled this over here, knowledge retrieval enhancement, and I've enabled this section here. And within this simple window, I can go ahead and do tests like hello. And here you'll get responses. And if you see, the response is very specific this time, right? The question is, or a simple prompt is hello, and we got a response, hello, how can I assist you regarding LearnX? This is a very, very specific to LearnX, right? So what you are looking at over here is a configuration or an application that you're creating, which will tie down to your chatbot. So once you have built this, all you have to do is you have to give your IT teams this simple Python or Java code. And you just have to integrate this with your website, the website that you have designed. All you do is you integrate your website with this particular code, and that's all that's needed. So once you set this up and you open up your website, which I'll just do over here. So let me open up the LearnX website here. So I'll copy the IP address of my LearnX website and I'll just paste it over here. So this is the chatbot that I've just created for LearnX. All right, this is the website, this is their chatbot. So now if someone asks a question over here and hits a send saying hello, if you see, it's the same specific response and it's more designed towards LearnX. Hello, how can I assist you today with LearnX, for example? That's what you see over here on the screen. Now you can ask questions like, who is LearnX, right? Who is LearnX, right? And now it should give you specific information also about LearnX, all right? And it says LearnX is an innovative startup focused on transforming university education through advanced online learning solutions and so on and so forth. So what you see over here is this is very, very specific to this particular business. And within a few clicks, you can set this up, right? So what you just looked at over here in this example is the capability. And remember, designing a chatbot, if you have to do it yourself, it would take a long time for you to set all of this up and integrate it with your applications, right? But with large language model series that we have and Model Studio, it's a matter of just simple integration, just copying the code and integrating with your existing website for you to go ahead and set up this chatbot. Ideally, you would need a big team to do this. But trust me, I'm not a hardcore developer and I created this demo by myself. It's a simple website on Apache server and I was able to do it within 90 minutes, all right? If you have someone who's a coder or a developer, they could do it within less than that time and even more customized for your business. So it's very, very easy to set up and get up and running. So when you take a look at LLM and this retrieval augmented generation, it's very simple to use. And what we just discussed was that service called as Model Studio. It's been in development for a very, very long time, and there have been multiple innovations. And today, what you see is the fully finished version, the upgraded Model Studio that we have, and how we integrate our large language model series with this LLM. And today, this large language model, think about your business now. And you can use it for question and answer. You can use it for content generation, code generation. I use it for a lot of code. I'm not a hardcore developer, so I don't write code, but it helps me write code, right? And I use that code and build things within no time, or data analysis. And it does all of these different use cases today. So coming back to the point here, artificial intelligence and LLM is not very hard to use and implement if you use the right tools. And to make this even further simplified for you, the Model Studio webpage of Alibaba Cloud. So if I type in Alibaba Cloud Model Studio, you will find there is also a pricing page. And remember how I said that Alibaba Cloud is 20 to 30% more cost effective? You'll be able to see that and compare that to just the pricing that we have for models. There are a lot of different models available for free for limited time, but if you compare the amount of price that you would pay for a service like this on Alibaba Cloud versus other cloud providers, there's a big difference, right? So simple to integrate, easy to implement, and at the lowest cost. So you have all of those capabilities of AI and ML and achieve them from an implementation perspective quickly and at the lowest cost. So the question is, when you use a cloud provider, are they helping you with not just security and availability, but innovation and go to market quickly? Can you take that idea and experiment quickly? Can you think of an AI chatbot and how you'll use it for your business? I had one more use case. There were some sellers that would go to individual stores and they needed a chatbot to ask questions quickly when they are standing in front of their customer. Do we have X product in stock? Does it have XYZ feature? A simple chatbot will make the life simple for your sellers if they're going out and selling things as well. So there are different use cases where this can be used, right? So that's all I wanted to talk to you about over here from an LLM perspective, or the services that we have, and about AI and ML solutions that we have. There are many more like this, right? Now, where can you learn more? Where can you get more information? So let me actually open up this particular page over here. And on this page, if you see, we have created an Africa Business Heroes 2024 page with a lot of resources, which I'll share with you. But I briefly want to talk about this page over here. But first of all, let me ask you this question. Have you all created an account on edu.alibabacloud.com? Did you get any instructions from the organizers? And did you all create over here an account? Let me just actually paste this. Did you all create an account over here? edu.alibabacloud.com. All right, some of you did. What about the rest? No, not yet. Okay. If you haven't, go ahead and create an account there. All you need is your email address. That's all. It's free. You don't need to add a payment method. You don't need to do anything. But if you haven't, I'll show you how to do it. So if you take a look at this page over here, let me just share this page with all of you. If you look at this page here, on this page that we've created for ABH, I have a short video here. Okay. Take a look at this video. How do you create an account for free on this edu.alibabacloud.com? All you need is an email address, and that's all, and a password and a phone number. That's all you need to create this particular account. So just need to go ahead and watch this video, which I have recorded for all of you to create an account. And then I'll show you some resources. So the question I got in the chat is, where can you find more resources to learn more? Or what are some of the other options that we have as entrepreneurs? So take a look at this. We have free online classes, free training. As long as you open that edu.alibabacloud.com account, you have a lot of resources available for you. If you're an entrepreneur and if you need credits from Alibaba Cloud, we even have a Startup Catalyst program here. You can get 120,000 US dollars in cloud credits. That is if you qualify for this particular program. So we have certain requirements for startups over here called through the Startup Catalyst program. You can apply now, but you can see a list of benefits over here. Right? And how you get these cloud credits, there's an FAQ section as well. So you apply for the program, your application is reviewed, and then we'll notify you if your application is successful. And there's FAQs as well that'll answer all of your questions around this Startup Catalyst program that we have. All right. But the first step is I want you all to create this edu.alibaba cloud account. And what can you do? Just because you went through the session today, everyone, you can easily take this particular dive into Gen AI and Model Studio fundamentals training, and you can get a couple of certifications today itself. So make sure you create the edu.alibabacloud.com account, and then you can get these certifications over here by taking these simple quizzes. If you want to learn more, then you can scroll down and look at free training that we have, free e-learning courses that we have. And if you have that edu.alibaba cloud account, there's a lot of free e-learning courses for all of you to learn more about Alibaba Cloud or technology in general, right? So those are some resources that I also wanted to share with you. Okay. So make sure. So the to-do for everyone is create that edu.alibaba cloud account and look at those quizzes on the web page, which I just shared. All right. You easily can get a certification. You also have those e-learning courses available for free, so you can learn more. Also, there's the Startup Catalyst program, which I mentioned about. So go ahead and apply for that if you're interested, and you can get up to $120,000 in US dollars in cloud credits, right? Okay, now that we've gone through all of that, let's take a look at what questions we have, because I want to leave some time for any Q&As or questions that we have over here. So from a content perspective, everyone, that is it that I had over here from a training perspective. Let's see what questions we have from the audience, if I can answer those. So over to you, Anisia. I cannot hear you, Anisia. I think you're muted.
Thank you so much. That was fantastic. I kept seeing very good feedback in the chat as well from the participants, very detailed, very well prepared. And I personally am many steps ahead of where I started this call. And I think that's the same experience with our audience as well. So I have a few questions in the Q&A chat. So let me see. Are you able to access it? Otherwise, I can read it for you.
Oh, let me take a look. All right. Why does Alibaba have no data center in Africa? That's the first question. So I'm going to answer it live. So as I said, today we don't, but we have partners like BCX in South Africa, who also run Africa Local Public Cloud. And, we work with other partners like that. Right now, yes, we don't have a region. So our customers from there use the Frankfurt region, which is the closest one. But in the future, you never know. But right now, we don't have a region, right? How can all these be incorporated in blockchain technology? So great question there. And yes, there are a lot of use cases that open up. Now, this short answer might not be something that will answer your question in detail. But what I would suggest is reach out to us. We'll engage our solution architects, understand what your use case is, and try and see what services and capabilities work best for you, whether it's blockchain technology, AI, machine learning technology, whether you want to build your own models, whatever might be the use case. I would say reach out to us, all right? And we will be able to help you with any kind of use cases that you have and provide you more insights. I'll also share my email address later. So if anyone has questions, you can always reach out so that I can connect you to the right people. All right. Next question. I'm interested to know this. How can one prepare data sets that the LLM can learn on in order to respond to clients in the chatbot, especially technical knowledge? Example, I want to know how much inputs I should buy to grow on 1 hectare of land. I want to know the LLM learn until they get accurate, especially numbers. So there is a lot of data sets theory that are available outside which are called as public data sets. So take a look at public data sets in that specific vertical or domain. There might be a lot of data sets today that are meeting your requirement. All right. If not, look at how you can create synthetic data sets, all right, that meet your requirement. There are today models that can help you create synthetic data sets as well, which you can use to further train your chatbots. So synthetic data sets, public data sets should ideally meet most of use cases theory. But if not, reach out to us again. We'll see what we can do from Alibaba Cloud perspective. Rachel says, hello, enjoying the lecture. It's very well prepared. Thank you so much. I have a few questions. How safe is our company's data? How do we know we might not be putting ourselves out there for our competitors to easily steal through hacking and so on and so forth? Yes, absolutely. Very important question, Rachel. And everyone has this, right? Security. Now, let me answer this question. Any cloud provider, including Alibaba Cloud, if we have to work with a customer from healthcare or financial industry, remember this data is very critical.
We have to meet certain guidelines and requirements on where and how we store data, how we decommission storage devices, if they have to be decommissioned. So we have to follow these strict compliance requirements. Only then can we get certain licenses and compliance certifications to do business. If we don't, we'll lose that. So any cloud provider, including Alibaba Cloud today, we have a lot of different compliance attestations and certifications that help customers learn and understand how we store our data. And we have to meet those strict requirements. If you look at my page right now, there is a trust center, and that says security and compliance. So if you're in a specific industry, we have to meet attestations from those industries to be able to do business and be compliant, right? So that should answer a lot of those questions around security. And if you have any more, we'd be happy to answer those in detail as well, right? Okay, hello. How can I use Alibaba Cloud to increase traffic on our website? Absolutely. There are different ways to do it. How can you increase that traffic? Now, either you do it through search engine optimization, or you use different mechanisms to do it. Now, from increasing traffic, it all depends on what your business is and how you would position, or where you would position your website and make it accessible. From Alibaba side, we might not be able to increase traffic to your website, but what we can do is make sure if that traffic comes in, that your website is scalable enough to handle any workload that you throw at it. All right. So that's where we might come into the picture more. So hopefully, John, that answers that question. Last question, when you were testing LearnX after it was customized with RAG, I noticed that you had not a secure tag in your browser. Is there a reason for that? That's because I created a website and I'm just using an IP address to connect to it. It's not HTTPS because it's a simple test in my Q&A environment. But you can create a website which is secure with your SSL certificates, and that'll have that secure tag, Rachel. So that's just because it is my demo, simply made up website called LearnX, a simply made up name called as LearnX, right? We have Jean has a question here. I want to ask what improvement I can make for someone to use Alibaba Cloud other than using existing platform. When Alibaba Cloud will open center in Africa, I'm not sure, but I want to ask what improvement I can make for someone to use Alibaba Cloud other than using existing platform. Great question. The question is, what is the business blocker you have with your current platform or provider that you want to shift? I think that's what is going to drive those answers for you as well. So if I'm someone who's using AWS right now, I'm looking at is, can Alibaba Cloud do more for me than AWS is doing? Can they reduce cost? Most of the time, that is absolutely a yes to that. But even if you forget about the cost aspect is, can they help you go to market quickly? Do they have solutions that you can use, which are pre-packaged? And most of the times, because we already have solutions across different verticals like healthcare and finance and e-commerce, that's when a customer makes that decision or move. So take a look at some of those questions, and then you'll find the answer. Can you provide the links for the quizzes we can take now? Absolutely, you can take now. And absolutely, I can share the links over here. Takondwa says, can we share? So let me actually open up this URL real quick here and share the URL with all of you. So there we go. So this is the main Africa Business Heroes webpage, and you will find the URLs on this webpage itself if you scroll down here. So if you scroll down here, you'll find take the quiz, and you'll find Model Studio and dive into generative AI quiz here, and you can take that. All right. All right, answered live that. And how can all these be incorporated in blockchain? I think I've answered that as well. So I'm going to hit done for that. No more open questions over here, Anisi. So any more questions from anyone?
All right, thank you so much, Ame. Let's quickly browse the chat to see if there's anything else. People are asking of, recording. Can they get the PDF? I think Ame, you will share with us any additional resources that we can share with our audience.
Yes,
that
absolutely.
Should be fine.
And also, what I want to do.
And I saw another question earlier, actually. But go ahead, Ame. So then one more question in the chat.
Yes,
Someone was asking, are ERPs such as Zoho or Odoo sitting on Alibaba Cloud?
There's a lot of customers today that are running on Alibaba Cloud. If you want to know more, take a look at this alibabacloud.com webpage. There is a why, us, and there is a customers section. You can find all of our customers across different verticals. What are some of our ERP solutions? We even have SAP B1 on Alibaba Cloud, if that's something that you're looking at from an ERP perspective. So all of these are something that we have. So you'll find that in the customer list over here and all the businesses that are running. Right. I also have a request over here for everyone before we move forward, is that I have this URL that I want everyone to open up, and I'm going to paste this over here. This is a URL for a short survey, which I'm going to just paste it over here. So take a look at this URL, everyone. It's a short, simple URL, and it has a few questions. You can ignore the UID if you don't have it, but just your name, email, and provide a score. What did you think of the presentation today? What did you think of your instructor, the Alibaba Cloud person that you met today? What did you think about the session, the training? Did it make sense? Was it engaging enough? Any kind of improvements you want to see in the future? If you like the session, show some love in the survey as well, and let us know what you think from that survey. Make sure, please, you take that. That's a request from me to everyone. Make sure everyone takes that. Over to you, Anisi, again, if you have any more questions.
I don't think we have any more questions. I think we have come to the end of our session. Thank you so much. I hope everybody is, taking the survey and giving feedback to Ame. It was really wonderful. It was very informative. And you shared that you're going to share your contacts. So I'm sure most of the audience members who have follow-up questions will definitely follow up with you.
Absolutely. I'm putting my email address right now in the chat for everyone. So that's my email address, everyone. a.birje@alibaba. I'll also share my LinkedIn with everyone. Feel free to connect with me. So I'm going to share my LinkedIn URL as well. So just a moment. Okay. So I've pasted my LinkedIn on the chat as well. So you should find me. That's me there. All right.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you so much, Ame. Before we end, I wanted to check in with our audience, just doing a pulse check to see how did this go for you? What did you learn? Did you keep up till the end? Ame, I was saying that I feel like we went through AI 100, AI 200, maybe, I don't know if there's AI 400. So there were different levels. So I'm curious to hear whether people were able to follow up till the end. What is your takeaway? I think in the beginning, some people said they did not know about Alibaba Cloud. So I think by this point, Alibaba Cloud, you've learned about Alibaba Cloud Model Studio. And then you've, more information about AI than people did at the beginning. So let me quickly read people's feedback. Someone is saying it was great. I am more informed about the AI thing. That's very relatable. Kudos, it was amazing. I learned about retrieval augmented generation for the first time today. Very good student. Connection sense, very interesting stuff. So for connecting with you, Ame. It taught me that AI is not an attack to society, but an improvement to the style and strategy of work and how to stay with clients even when you're not in the office. Very good, very informative, really important. My takeaway is the RAG. So it looks like this really stayed with people. Very insightful session. There's more to learn. I really agree that I think every single topic we went through today can be unpacked. Waiting for more. Have opened an Alibaba account. Very good. All right, so let me see one more. Very informative, amazing, interesting, impressive. Articulation was crystal. I concur. All right. Yes, so to everybody who's asking about the recording, the follow-up, you will receive a follow-up email. Everybody who registered will get a follow-up email with the link to the YouTube of the recording and any other resources that Ame will generously share with us. But even if you don't get the PowerPoint, you can go back to the recording and see every single step that we use to go through this today. All right. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for your kind attention. Ame, you can still see your screen, so do let me know if You want it
Okay,
up?
no worries. That's all right.
To end, everyone, I just wanted to, one more time thank Ame and the Alibaba Cloud team for this session. Very insightful. We look forward to more. I think, like everybody has said, we are closing. I wanted to remind everyone that on the Africa's Business Heroes front, we have a grand finale and the summit coming up this December. So mark your calendars, December 4th and December 5th in Kigali. On the 4th, it will be the summit, and we'll be looking at how entrepreneurship is the key to transform Africa. So looking at using different sectors, looking at healthcare, education, how are entrepreneurs changing all these different sectors. We'll also have non-sector specific discussions. And then the following day, we will hear our top 10 of this year pitching. It's always a good session to be part of, to hear from entrepreneurs from different parts of the continent, pitch their businesses and talk about their business models. So if you are able to join us, kindly do so. I'm going to put the registration link in the chat so that you sign up if you are not yet registered. All right. Just 1 second. Here you go. I'm seeing a lot of feedback that people like to attend. Yes, this will be a physical event in Kigali, but afterwards, of course, you can watch the recaps on YouTube. But for those who can make it to Kigali, please do so. People do fly in for this event, so it's a very good entrepreneur conference and gathering. So you can come for the networking as well. All right, I'll stop it here. We were also joined by Norscan, and my colleague Vanessa is not here, but most of you are Norscan members and you know more about Norscan. So check out their pages as well to see what's upcoming on their side of the pond. All right. Once again, Ame, thank you so much. Yes, Ame.
Take the survey, everyone. Take the survey if you haven't. And once again, thank you so much, Anise, for arranging this. Always appreciate working with ABH and the team. Someone asked the question if I'll be there for the final. I'm not sure yet. My travel isn't finalized, but if I'm going to be there, make sure you reach out, say hello, introduce yourself, and happy to chat and connect. But once again, thank you, Anise, and we'll do this again sometime. Thank you.
Yes, we will. Thank you, everyone. As you leave, give us a thumbs up if you finished the survey. And if you are registering and coming, yes, please do so. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for coming.